Hello everyone and welcome to the fourth episode of the Scholia Show. So today we're going to talk about education. Previously we talked about universities in Algeria, some behaviors from teachers and even students' behaviors in university. But today we're going to tackle education when it comes to middle school, primary school and secondary school, right?
Yeah, that's right. So before we talked about life at university, education at university, but now let's talk about education as a system, as a model. How is education in Algeria? What do parents think of when they hear the term education? How do they motivate their students to go to school?
Their children.
Let's talk about all that.
Okay. So
All right.
where should we start from?
Yeah, I think that you should start with like the culture of education in Algeria. What do usually parents say when they want to send their children to school? How do they motivate them? I'm not sure about your case, but in my case, for example, they always associated education with job. When you are educated, you can get a job and you can live a good life.
Money.
Yeah, and the money. And I remember even like sometimes I remember in my childhood when I was with my father a couple of times, and he looks at someone who has really bad job or is jobless or something, and he says something like, if you don't study well, that's like how you're gonna become. And I've always found that like very, I don't know, like I've just felt that this is not how it's supposed to be. I'm supposed to study because like that's very interesting content, and we should educate ourselves because when we educate ourselves, we create good things in the world. And I always saw education with the lens of innovation, creativity, creation, improving human condition. I don't like to see it in the context of it's just that so that you can be sent to work in some company. I remember there is like a really interesting quote that I saw on Facebook. It's actually brought from the Matrix. Did you watch the movie?
No, but I'm familiar with it.
So in the Matrix there is this guy Morpheus, where he looked at Neo and he was like, that's what the system is. They want to make you like this, and then he showed him a battery, and what they said in the post on Facebook, it was very mainstream, it was very popular post on Facebook. They said like, this is what like our educational system does to people. What it's trying to do is to make people as batteries. So they educate you not to get educated, they educate you in order to become a battery, and they can put you in some company to power the whole structure, So just becoming batteries. It's not like in the surface it looks like education, but it's not really education. They're just trying to instill some skill on you, so that's needed in the market, I'm not sure how it was in that case, but in my experience, my personal experience, I've always found that to be really, problem in society, like the way people view education.
I think it's not only in your case, but at least for the majority, education is really seen as a way, a path to a better job, a good job, to have a stable life, money, create a family, get married. That's like, you just spend your life since being 5 years old until you're in your 20s, just studying so you get a job. But education is more than that. I mean, you should not only it's not only about knowledge and creativity, but it's also about ethics, about learning how to be a citizen, how to be a human, how to behave in certain situations in your family, to understand, to learn morals. It's not only about finding a job. And for for what you said concerning your father telling you, like showing you someone with a bad job and telling you that you might become like them if you don't study, there's also really, really viral post. It's been viral for like years. I don't know if you saw it. There's like a cartoon, this woman showing her son, someone who works as, cleaning, a gardener or cleaning the streets or something like that. And she tells him, you will become like him if you don't study. And then there is like an X on it and saying, this is how it should be. And the mother tells the son, if you study and have like a good future, good job, it can help people like him. But it's also about jobs after all.
There was also something like similar to that, like there is like this post that also went very viral, where like students are just sitting in the class, they all have bubbles on top of them, and then there is a teacher cutting them
Yeah.
and make of each one like make each one look like square, because she had a square bubble.
Yeah.
So it's like what they're trying to say is that what they're trying to educate you in the sense of eradicating differences. They're just trying to make everyone think and just think like their teacher think.
Killing creativity.
Yeah, it's like killing creativity. And there is also this famous quote by Albert Einstein, and they actually put it in some viral posts as well, where there are like just different animals next to a tree, and on top of the tree there is a monkey, and then and then there is the quote of Einstein where he says that everyone is a genius, everyone is smart, but if you teach fish how to climb a tree, then it will spend the rest of its life thinking that it's stupid, because that's not what it was designed to do. You know, that doesn't work in the orientation of its capacities. Monkey can do that really fast. And I think that it makes sense because, for example, in school, I found that people have different abilities, they have different capacities. Some people they are just born talented in something. Some people were really good at math. Some people were really good at memorizing, at like history, geography. Some people were really good at science. Some people were really good at art and music and painting. Some people were really, especially guys, really good at like sports and all like physical activities. So it's just like different talents. You don't need to make one thing, like put all pressure on one field and make everyone think that they need to exceed in that field, otherwise they are dumb, you know. And I remember I had once Bahmed in the Good Folks show, and we talked about something like that. And people reaching high school, when there is like this stress regarding whether you choose literary branch or the science branch, and like especially here in Algeria, where there is like this the idea that like literary branch is only for, you know, like lazy, less intelligent people in comparison with science, and the science branches, they are all smart. And
I think what you said about skills and killing abilities, I think I mean, I'm not an expert on this or anything. I don't know how those people who work in Ministry of Education all over the world, how do they adapt the educational system and so on. But from my observation, I think that there is a problem when you notice the pattern since primary school till secondary school. Like, it doesn't change much. I mean, there are a few changes, but it doesn't change much. But I personally think that in primary school, children will start learning the basics. They need to know a bit of history and to learn, you know, like when we had for example, the course for Islamic studies, you know, it was mostly about learning morals and ethics. We didn't learn much about how to memorize verses from the Quran or anything, but we learned how to be for example, a good kid, how to treat your neighbors, those kind of things. So we will learn in ethics and morals, and I think this is good. But when you start, you know, studying in middle school and secondary school, I think it should evolve, and you should start looking at skills, like paying attention to students' skills and trying to improve them. There are many countries that have, especially in secondary school, they have courses for different skills, like they learn how to do carpenting. It's like the people who make tables and doors and so on.
But how are they going to do that in school?
I don't know if they have workshops inside their schools or they take
That's
them to a
really
certain
cool.
place, but they learn how to do carpentering because not everyone finishes their studies. Not everyone goes to universities,
Yeah.
especially in countries where it's like really expensive to attend university. So they teach them skills that might help them get other jobs. Um, I had this friend who's from Colombia, and he told me they even taught them how to make a fishing net. So like maybe someone is interested to become a fisher, they will know those kind of skills, and I think that's really interesting. And there should be courses, even if not mandatory, they should include them in the syllabus. Is that called the syllabus? But in the program of in the educational program. So maybe someone will opt for that option, and it will help him in his career. But in Algeria, we focus a lot on, the last year of secondary school because we know it determines our future. It's through it we choose what we study in university, and university is very important because there are few jobs that you can have without, a university degree. And I also think that jobs and education
Should be separated.
no, I think they are really, maybe, probably, but I think they are like, they affect each other. I don't know, like, I'm not sure if it's just my vision, but I think that we have like limited jobs. And even if there are creative jobs, we don't really hear of them. We just know the usual, like a journalist, a doctor, an engineer, a teacher. Those are like the common jobs. But I think that abroad, you find like those kind of jobs that you never hear about in here. We don't have names for them. Some people just end up having them. And you will see, like, I once was looking in this Spanish university, and I was looking at what they study. And when you choose, like, a major, they show you, like, a list of things that you can work with. Like, the kind of jobs that you can have with that degree. And I chose, like, my major, like English studies. And there were jobs that I never thought about, For example, I'm gonna give you an example based on my major because I'm not sure if you really understood me. Usually when I tell people that I studied English and literature, they tell me, oh, so you're gonna become a teacher. And if you say no, they tell you, okay, what do you expect? Are you gonna become a doctor? They say like sarcastically, because what else can you do with your degree if you're not gonna teach? And there are certain jobs that, even if it's not English, it's another language, like maybe Arabic. Usually they just teach, but maybe there are other jobs. I think those who studied literature, they can work, for example, in a publishing house. They can become an editor, they can become, I don't know, those people who proofread the books. I think those jobs are interesting, but do you ever hear someone say, I want to become an editor, I want to work in the publishing house? They don't even know how, they don't even think about it.
I had also something else in mind. People who study, what do we call, like the traces of a human history?
Sociology? No, anthropology.
Anthropology. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. So a lot of, for example, here in Algeria, most people who major in such field, most of them, the majority of them, they don't work in anything in regards to that field, because there is really, really few jobs about that field. Like they can either work in a museum or that's all, pretty much. But for example, in many other countries, I guess, there are many jobs, especially if there are more museums, more agencies specialized in research, like even after university, regarding those human history traces, more labs, I don't know, like TV channels who have programs, documentaries. So they will always look for such people who major in that field because usually they have more information to tell, they have more motivation, they have more commitment regarding all those this
More knowledge,
yeah,
yeah.
more knowledge. But here it's like you got the knowledge, but no one needs it. You know, like you understand how the pyramids were built, for example, just for example. But no one is interested to know about that, you know. You're not gonna get that on TV channel, you're not gonna get that on any TV program, you're not gonna get that in any research. So there is actually an obvious lack of diversity, I guess, when it comes to jobs and
That's exactly what I wanted
and
to say.
also
lack of
investment.
diversity.
And also investment. Like few
Yeah.
people invest in things like that. But like I just don't understand because like from one hand people always associate education with getting a job, but at the same time there are many fields in the educational system that can get you a job. They don't get a job at all. So like where is the problem
Well, they
here?
can get you jobs, but unrelated to your field of studies.
Yeah, and related. You just have to say, what you say is that just you have a university degree,
Yeah.
but it's not about what you actually study.
I think one thing that... Okay, so when you said that lack of diversity when it comes to jobs, I think there are many factors to it, and one of them is how those fields like anthropology, sociology, even law, so many fields, how they are looked at by the majority of people, by society. They are looked at, you know, with a negative look, because usually students who study those fields, they got low grades or like the average grade in their back exam. So for many students, they just study that because they had no other option. They are not motivated to study that field, that major. They just go to university to study in order to have a degree. It has nothing to do with what they are studying. So I think one of the things that we can do, I'm not an expert on anything, but this is just based on my own observation. I think one of the things that we can do in order to improve this is making admission exams in each university, additional to the back exam. Because, for example, I can have 13 in my back exam, and I want to study English, my major, okay? But actually my level in English, not only like the language, the grammar, but in general, is not sufficient. If we make an admission exam, for example, maybe it can have something related to literature, a bit of history, I don't know, grammar, listening and speaking exam. So when a student studies that field, they have at least the minimum or sufficient knowledge in order to study it. Not only knowledge, but capacities.
Yeah. That really makes sense. To be honest, I think that we should leave the rest of this episode to next week, because I think that's a very big topic to discuss. So today we tackled the relationship, the cultural view of education in Algeria, also the relationship between jobs and education. The next episode we're gonna tackle the model of education in Algeria, like how teachers approach students usually. And we'll also try to brainstorm some probably additions or solutions maybe to the problems that we have in education. So, yeah.
Yeah, sure.
That's the end of the Scholia Show. Thank you guys for tuning in, and see you next week. Take care.